I stood outside the restaurant, hands shaking, my sister's voice echoing in my head. She married a cleaner, can you believe that? While I got myself a finance genius. That was Jess, my older sister, loud, stylish, the golden child of the family. And me, I'm Mia, the quiet one, the one who never cared for spotlights or luxury bags. While Jess chased designer shoes and high-profile men, I found peace in the small things, cooking, writing, being around people who didn't need to impress anyone. But Jess never let me forget I settled. Especially when I married Ryan. He was working night shifts cleaning office buildings when we met. Kind eyes, calm voice. The kind of man who would notice if you were cold and offer his jacket before you even asked. From the very beginning, Jess laughed at him. A cleaner, Mia, she said during one family dinner. That's who you ended up with. While Justin just locked in another $200,000 bonus. My parents didn't defend me. They just sat there, pretending not to hear. My mom even whispered, you could have done better, Mia. But I didn't marry for flash. I married for heart. And Ryan had it. In buckets. What nobody knew, not Jess, not even my parents, was that Ryan wasn't just a cleaner. He started his own cleaning company after saving every dollar from his early jobs. And over 10 years, that tiny business grew. He landed contracts with office towers, government buildings, even luxury hotels. He hired staff, bought equipment, and reinvested every cent. Quietly, humbly, and smartly. We lived in a modest condo. No designer clothes, no luxury car. We didn't show off, because we didn't have to. Meanwhile, Jess and Justin were busy living big. Fancy vacations, lavish parties, bragging constantly. Then one day, it all crashed. Justin's investments failed, hard. They'd taken risky bets, cryptocurrency, NFTs, and some startup that vanished overnight. They lost nearly everything. I got the call at 10:30 p.m. Mia, my dad's voice was low. We need help. Jess and Justin are in deep trouble. Their home is at risk. Could you talk to Ryan about maybe selling some of your shares or property? Just temporarily. For family. I held the phone to my ear, stunned. I asked him to repeat it. Sell what, exactly? I asked. Your house, or that condo, he said. I know Ryan doesn't make a lot, but maybe he has savings. I looked over at Ryan, who had heard everything from across the living room. He stood up, calm as ever, and took the phone from my hand. Sir, he said politely, Mia doesn't own that condo. There was silence. I do, Ryan continued. And I own the apartment building Jess and Justin live in. And the office block where your company used to run. What? My dad whispered. We won't be selling anything, Ryan added. But I do hope they land on their feet. He handed me back the phone and gently kissed my forehead. My parents and Jess never looked at Ryan the same after that. The man they once called just a cleaner turned out to be the quiet investor behind half the properties they drove past every day. And me, I didn't say I told you so. I just smiled, and finally felt seen. Have you ever been underestimated because of who you married, or what you chose not to show off? Share your story in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more real-life twists like this one. Froze, like she was holding her breath. Jess finally looked up. Her lips trembled, but the pride in her eyes was gone. It had cracked. You, she whispered. You own all of this. Ryan didn't answer with smugness or spite. Just quiet truth. Yes, every square inch. I bought it piece by piece before Mia and I even got married. Then I expanded it, built the cleaning business from scratch, and reinvested into real estate. The land you're sitting on now. This house. The rental units you used to drive past and laugh at. He glanced out the window. They're mine. You could have heard a pin drop. I folded my arms slowly, trying to keep my voice from shaking. I never said anything because I didn't need to prove anything to any of you. Not when you were calling us small time. Not when Jess joked about me marrying down. Not even when you laughed about my simple life. My mom finally found her voice. Small and cracked. Mia, we didn't know. But you never asked, I said, cutting her off gently. You just assumed. Jess suddenly stood, pushing back her chair. You think you're better than us now. She hissed. Because your cleaner husband has some money stashed away. Ryan's voice stayed calm. It's not about being better. It's about respect. You walked into my home today asking for help after years of looking down on us. Dad cleared his throat. We're not proud of that, son. But we're desperate. I trusted Justin with everything we had. It was supposed to be safe. Safe, I repeated. You gave him your life savings based on his Instagram stories and TED Talk voice. Jess scoffed. It wasn't like that. It was exactly like that, I said, my voice finally steady. You called me small, laughed at our simple life. Meanwhile, Ryan was building something real. Something solid. My mom's hands trembled in her lap. Mia, please. We lost everything. Jess and Justin, they're being evicted. We've moved in with them, but now even that apartment might go. The mortgage, we thought if you could just sell a part of the land, just to help restart. Ryan looked at me, and I could feel his question without him saying a word. I turned back to them. You're asking us to fix a mess you made by ignoring everything you used to mock. Jess looked down again. For the first time in forever, she had no comeback. I'm not saying we won't help, I added softly. But it won't be in the way you think. Jess's head snapped up. What do you mean? We're not selling our land, I said. And we're not giving out cash. But Ryan does have a few cleaning contracts open for new hires. And we have housing units, affordable ones. If you're willing to work, we might be able to provide some structure. For you, and even for Justin. Work, Jess repeated, like the word stung. My mom blinked. You mean like, cleaning jobs? Ryan nodded. We don't hand out money. We build, and anyone who wants to rebuild their life is welcome. But it starts with work. With humility. My dad leaned back, eyes full of something I couldn't quite read. Was it shame? Or was it the first flicker of understanding? Jess turned toward the window. Silent. Reports, and a thick envelope of legal notices. I found out Justin wasn't just bad at investing, Jess said, barely above a whisper. He was hiding things from me. For a long time, I stood frozen by the edge of the table. The papers looked cold, official, sharp, nothing like the sister I remembered from our childhood, the one who used to braid my hair and sneak me candy behind mom's back. That girl was buried under years of designer bags, filtered selfies, and bitter comparisons. Noah stood at the kitchen entrance, arms crossed but quiet, watching carefully. Jess pointed to one of the pages. He forged my signature, on 3 different loans. Used my name to apply for credit. Maxed out every card. I didn't know until collectors started showing up at our building. Then he disappeared. Wait, I said, stepping closer. What do you mean disappeared? He left, she whispered. 2 days ago. Packed a bag, took what little cash we had left, and just left. I've called his phone 100 times. No answer. His office said he quit. He even cleared out our joint account. I looked at her face. The tears were there now, but this time, they weren't for sympathy. They were from exhaustion. I have nothing, Mia, she said, her voice cracking. I don't even have a place to stay. The building manager locked me out this morning. And you were right. About everything. About me, about him. I slowly sat down. Jess walked over and stood behind the chair across from me, but she didn't sit. Her fingers traced the edge of the folder as if it could still hold something to save her. I was cruel to you, she said, looking me straight in the eyes. Not just because of Ryan, or the life you chose. But because you didn't need approval. You didn't chase status. You had love, and peace, and something I was always chasing but never had. She paused, trembling. I was jealous. I didn't speak. I wanted to, but I couldn't. Too many years. Too many words. Too much pain. I don't deserve forgiveness, she said. But I need help. Not money. Not a handout. Just a start. Noah finally spoke, his voice steady. What do you want to do, Jess? She turned to him. Anything. Clean, cook, drive. I can learn. I can work. Just, let me be near someone who's not trying to use me or leave me. Noah glanced at me. I nodded. You'll stay in one of our back units, I said quietly. It's small. No marble counters. But it's safe. And if you're serious, Ryan can get you started with his team. It won't be easy. She blinked fast. I'm not expecting easy, not anymore. I looked at her hands, no rings, no manicured nails. Just trembling fingers and a truth I hadn't seen in her in years. She moved to hug me, but paused. I don't deserve. I stood and pulled her into my arms. You're still my sister, Jess, I said softly. And everyone deserves a second chance, if they're willing to earn it. Behind me, I heard Ryan's quiet footsteps retreating into the kitchen. I knew he'd already started planning a training schedule for her. Because that's who he was. Because that's the life we'd built. Turned and saw me watching from the porch. We locked eyes for a moment, both of us unsure what to say. Jess looked down, brushing hay off her jeans. I didn't know goats were this ridiculous. I smiled a little. They're smarter than they look. She gave a small laugh. I used to think this life was beneath me. Now I'm starting to think I was beneath it. That stayed with me all day. The next week, she started waking up earlier. She helped Ryan load supplies into the truck and cleaned out one of the back storage sheds without being asked. She didn't whine, didn't complain. Just worked, quietly, like she was trying to earn the right to stand here. And then came the shift I never expected. One morning, I was in the kitchen making coffee when Jess walked in, her hair pulled into a loose ponytail, sleeves rolled up. Ryan said there's an opening at the main office, she said, clearing her throat. Reception and scheduling. He said I could start next week, if that's okay. I raised an eyebrow. Are you ready for that? She nodded. I have to be. She paused, then added, I want to learn what it means to build something from the ground up. Like you did. I looked at her, really looked at her, and for the first time, I didn't see my sister the rival. I saw a woman who had been broken down to her foundation and was now choosing to rebuild the right way. Later that day, we were folding laundry when Jess sat down beside me on the couch. Mia, she began slowly, do you remember when we were little and I made you cry because I told you your drawing looked like a mashed potato? I looked up, blinked. Then laughed. You told me it looked like a mashed potato that got run over. Jess laughed too, a real laugh. I've been awful to you for a long time. I wanted to hurt you because I thought it would make me feel better. I thought life was a competition. But I lost, Mia. And honestly, I'm glad I did. There was a lump in my throat, but I smiled anyway. You didn't lose. You just had to take the long way. That night, Ryan grilled dinner outside while Jess and I sat on the porch. The air smelled like rosemary and smoke. The kind of calm you can't buy. Mom and Dad don't know you're here yet, I said. Jess looked down. I know. I need more time before I face them. Especially Dad. I can't lie anymore, but I don't want to be their disappointment. You're not, I said. You just stopped pretending. Jess smiled, but her eyes stayed glassy. You always had more strength than me. I just never wanted to admit it. Just then, Ryan called from the grill. Jess, you want the first burger or should I give it to the goats? She stood up and grinned. If the goats get it, we're fighting. We both laughed. It was the first time in years it felt like I had my sister back, not the one who judged me from afar, but the one who used to build blanket forts and sing off-key in the car. But life has a funny way of testing new beginnings. Because the next morning, there was a knock on the door. When I opened it, I froze. It was Justin, sunglasses on, same smug grin, same polished watch and expensive shoes. Hello, Mia, he said like nothing had happened. We need to talk. From behind me, I heard Jess drop a plate. The next morning, I found a letter on our porch. It was from Jess. Written in her messy handwriting, the same way she used to write notes when we were teenagers and sneak them under my door. Mia, thank you for opening the door when I didn't deserve it. I'm starting from scratch now, but this time, I'm doing it right. I finally see what I was blind to for so long. Strength doesn't always shout. Sometimes, it just shows up every day and does the work. Tell Ryan I said thank you. For everything. Love, Jess. I read it 3 times. Then folded it carefully and tucked it into the back of my journal. Later that week, Ryan got an email from the Regional Cleaning Association. Jess had used him as a reference. She was applying for a training scholarship. She wanted to build her own small team, starting with janitorial services for local schools. She wasn't running anymore. She was rebuilding. And not just her finances, her life. Her values. Her place in the world. We didn't celebrate with champagne or fancy dinners. Just a quiet meal on our porch, the crickets humming, our hands intertwined. And maybe that's the real win. Not proving anyone wrong, but watching someone finally choose the harder, better path. Not because they were forced to, but because they were ready. Have you ever been underestimated or mocked for choosing a quieter life, only to realize it was the strongest choice you could make? Or maybe someone in your life finally saw the truth, like Jess did. Share your story in the comments. And if this touched you, hit like, subscribe, and don't forget to send it to someone who needs a reminder that real strength builds, not boasts.